I recently uploaded my favorite books of 2024, and here is its counterpart. The books that I disliked the most in 2024. So hi and welcome back, my fellow fantasy book lovers, or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kathy and I'm a fantasy book lover from Belgium. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 7 books that I either DNF'd or gave a 1 or 2 star rating. Now, before I get into these books and the reasons that I personally didn't like them, I want to tell you that if you love these books, you have every right to love these books. This is my personal opinion and it should not affect yours. But I just wanted to share the books that just didn't end up working for me. And it's a very good thing for me to do, so I avoid the same mistakes in the future because I just want more books that I love. So I'm first going to get through the list of books I DNF'd. The most recent DNF that I did is at the top of this list. This is The Hemlock Queen by Hannah Witten. This is the second book in what's probably going to be a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken, with The Foxglove King as the first book. In The Foxglove King, I really loved the world building, the setup, the types of magic that they explored, and the vibes, the overall vibes that the book had. However, in book 2, and I DNF'd it at 154 pages, I felt like the love triangle that they were forming in book 1, it completely shattered at the end of the book, and the magic powers that the girl got, they're seen as something like, it has to be balanced, it has to be this, it has to be that, and that's the only reason why she's stuck with one of these 2 males, and it just felt frustrating. And at 154 pages, I still felt like the book was going nowhere at all. I was not invested in it. I didn't care for anything about it. And whenever my partner remarks that I'm not really reading a lot, that's when I know I need to DNF a book. So that's why I unfortunately DNF'd this book. It is a soft DNF. I might pick it up again in the future, maybe when the last book is out and I can read all 3 of them after each other, that it will be better. But for now, it is a DNF and I will not pick it up anytime soon. The next book I DNF'd is Lucy Undying by Kirsten White. This is a vampire-themed book that follows one of the first victims of Dracula, Lucy. Now, this is a kind of fantasy historic retelling because, of course, vampires aren't real, I wish. But this is more of like historical fiction mixed with horror than anything else. And it's simply not a type of book that I would have picked up if I knew it was like not fantasy, because I love fantasy with castles, with world building, with epic things happening, with dragons if it can, with fae, with anything. And for me, this book just lacked that. I felt it was boring. I felt like I didn't connect to Lucy at all. They were showing different timelines at us. And I just didn't like it. That's the basic gist of it. There's friends of mine who really loved this book. The person I was buddy reading this with also struggled. And I think we both DNF'd it in the end. I'm not sure exactly at how many pages I DNF'd it. I know it was well over 100 because I was so desperately trying to like this book, but it ended up just not working for me. After that, we have Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. The only thing I have to say is that if you make a musical scene in book form, I will hate you for the rest of your life and I will not pick up your books anymore. And that was the tipping point for me. I already was not enjoying reading the book, and then that happens? No. Hard no from me. So the setup of this book is amazing. The artwork of the book is incredible. The book itself is shit, in my humble opinion. We have this girl who's terminally ill, and together with her sister, they have been obsessed with this book series. And when she is in her bed one evening, there is someone next to her who tells her like, hey, I want to give you one last chance and I will send you into this book series and you have to survive there and find a specific flower. And if you get that flower, and you eat it or drink it or smell it, I don't know what she has to do with that flower, then you will come back and you will get like another chance at life. So she goes into this book world, and at first she doesn't know who she is. So she ends up being one of the characters in the book series that she loves, and it is like the evil queen type character. And we see as she tries to explore this character in that realm, but it's still her, the young girl, in this like body of someone else. I found it really annoying, like, okay, at first, like, oh, she's in this new body. Oh, this new body implies that she has different forms, different type of hair, different everything. But we don't need to hear it every single chapter. And there were just more things that annoyed me than more things that I enjoyed about it. If it were written slightly differently, I might have actually finished this book and loved it. But yeah, the musical scene in book form, like, hard pass on that. So those were the 3 books that I DNF'd. So all of the next books are books that I actually read and finished. And the first one is What Moves It At by T. Kingfisher. This is a short novel by T. Kingfisher, and I tend to have a hit or miss effect with T. Kingfisher. Either I love the books or I don't like them at all. And this one, unfortunately, was a don't like it at all. In this book, we have this setup where there's people who live in this manor and they are ill and no one knows with what. And the girl that is ill sends a letter to one of her old friends, and that friend goes to investigate and to try and see if they can do anything. It is apparently a retelling of the fall of the House of Usher. I felt so bored. I was not sure what was going on, and I was not caring about what was going on. So for me, this just fell flat, unfortunately. I know there's people who love it. Maybe if you have read The Fall of the House of Usher and you love that, then maybe you will love this book as well. But for me, it simply didn't work. Then we go to the complete opposite end of types of books, and it is Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Roberts. This book is fan fiction published in a book, or at least that's what it feels like. It starts with smut before we even know the names of the characters. It keeps on getting smut. So at the moment that I started this book, I originally DNF'd it. I was like, what? It was just too much all at once, too little world building, too little going on for me to actually care, and too much smut all at once. If you want to read porn, go to a porn website. It's better than this, because no. So I know I started the book, decided to DNF it, picked up another book that was like super boring, had nothing romantic going on, and I was like, okay, I want to continue reading it just because it was too much of a difference between the other book and that one, so I picked it up again, and then I finished it. Am I happy that I finished it? Was it a good experience? No, really. The smut was good. The smut was the only thing keeping this book together, because the general plotline of what happens has holes that are massive. It is not logical at all what happens. And then the ending of the book is like this happy ending that I felt no one really wanted. So this book didn't work for me. Again, if you like vampire smut, if you like your smutty reads to be overly smutty, then I think this is perfect for you. If you don't want to have a connection with characters to like them or to start liking them, then just go for it. The opinions on this book are very different from each person that I talk to about this book. Some people liked it, some people don't, but the majority of votes is that it's not really well written and it goes too fast into too much smut. Up next, we have A Game of Fate by Scarlett St. Clair. This is the second book in the Hades and Persephone series. My main issue with the Hades and Persephone series is that it's 2 books with the same story. You have the A Touch Of, which is written from Persephone's perspective, and then you have A Game Of, which is written from Hades' perspective. But they are the same book. I felt so completely, utterly bored because I knew what was going to happen. I did not care anymore. So for me personally, I think I maybe someday will continue this series once I get over the fact that I hated the second book so much, because it's simply, I don't want to read the same book twice. I don't want to do a reread from a slightly different perspective with exactly the same things happening. I don't care. So I read the Persephone book first, and then I waited a few months, read the Hades book, and then I didn't continue anything. I even sold my full series of the 7 books because book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are like from one and then the other. And then book 7, all of a sudden, is from the 2 together. Like, maybe you should have done that from the start. And maybe it was all about the book sales. I don't know. My honest opinion on this is, if you want to read these and if you don't want to reread the same books over and over again, I would pick, if you want to read from a female perspective or from a male perspective, and just read those and then the final one. If you really want the full experience of having her book and his book and her book and his book and blah blah blah, go for it, but not for me. And then the final book is The Last Smile in Sunder City by Luke Arnold. This is part of a trilogy of books. They all follow this same detective in this city where humans and other creatures live together. It's like merged with each other. And he's investigating in book one the disappearance of a young girl of a school. But I really did not like the main character that we follow. He is so full of self-pitying, self-suffering everything that I just felt annoyed with him. I wanted to give him a good slap in the face and tell him to get his shit together, because the majority of the book is him getting drunk, him getting beat up because he was drunk and did something stupid, and not him working on the actual case. If I want a paranormal investigation type book, I want it to be about the investigation and not about the main character suffering because he does things that are stupid. Like, no. So for me, this series didn't work because of that reason. I did finish book one. I sold all 3 of them. And I'm looking forward to finding something else within this genre that is better. Apparently The Tainted Cup is also like a murder mystery type situation. So I really truly hope that one is better. So these were the 7 worst books out of the 69 books that I read in 2024. And you can do with this information whatever you feel is necessary to do with this information about these books. The reason I don't like something might be the reason that you did like something, and that's perfectly fine. We're all individuals, we all like different things, so we are allowed to like and dislike different books as well. Feel free to let me know in a comment down below, is there a book that you read in 2024 that was so horrible that you either gave it a 1 or 2 stars or even DNF'd it? I would love to know, and I also would love to know the reasons why, because those reasons are how we can find books that we actually do like. Because if you know what you don't like, you can take those elements and look at other things that you do like and then find that magical formula for the perfect book for you. And if we're looking at the numbers, of the 69 books that I read in 2024, I had only 7 that are 2 stars, 1 stars and DNF'd. And I had 15 books that were 5 stars. So that's not even counting the 3 and the 4 stars, because those are the majority of what I read are 3 stars, which is okay, I liked it, and for specific reasons someone might love it, but for me not. 4 stars is like, I really enjoyed it, but it's just not 5 stars. So there's a lot more books that I loved this year than books that I didn't love, which is a very good sign. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every week and I would love to have you for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading. Bye!